I'm Michelle Bella, here with Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. And today we're going to talk about soil health and the pH of your soil and the pH of your body. Andy, tell us a little bit about the pH of the soil.
Well, the pH of the soil is important for many reasons, but mainly it determines the availability of nutrients in the soil. So the normal pH is 6 to 7.2. 6.8 is the ideal. However, there are some plants, you might call them acid-loving plants, which require a lower pH, like 4.5 or 5.5. So pH is important for nutrition availability. And the reason why the pH is so important is because the microbes live in a certain pH range. Outside, above that and below that, you have less and less of the particular microbes we need. So it goes back to microbes again.
Right.
Humans.
So like when you go to plant azaleas and gardenias, they give you an acid mix.
Right.
So then what if you have other plants there? How do I know what else would love that? Or is it strictly hydrangeas, azaleas, gardenias?
Well,
Are those
one of the things about about the pH is that in California, the clay soil is very highly alkaline. And that's one of the reasons why people have a hard time with their plants, because they usually require a more acid pH. So when you're buying the stuff that says for acid plants, you're actually doing a good job on the whole property, because everything really needs it to be a little bit more acidified. The acid ones like it even more acid. So I tell people, don't even plant it in the clay. Figure out a different way to do it in a container or something, because the pH is way too low. It'll eventually go back up again. But for our soil, yeah, we would like to, you don't have to worry about that. You want to use, that's why I use the Acetic Gardenia mix all the time, because it helps the soil come down. That's why we use coffee grinds to help the pH come down. So you don't have to worry about that. Go ahead.
What do you come down? You mean be less alkaline?
Right. So the pH of California is 7.2, 7.4 or higher.
We're higher in alkalinity.
Right. And the acidity is lower. So ideally, it should be 6.8. Between 6.5 and 6.8, maybe 6.9 is where the majority of microbes live.
And how do we check the pH of the soil?
Well, there are a couple of different ways you could do that. They have a little device you stick in the ground, tells you the pH. It's like a little rod you stick in, boing, pH level. They also have litmus, where you take a little bit of the soil, you put it on the little litmus things, and it'll change color. So if it's red, it's acid. If it's blue, it's alkaline.
Oh, like we have that for our bodies. We have
Exactly right.
That's what I was looking for. We have pH strips we can buy for
For your
just a
body.
few dollars at the health food store, and you pee on them.
Right.
There's a chart that shows it goes from yellow all the way to like a dark green,
Yeah.
and our body needs to be in the middle of that.
Right.
Because they say cancer, disease can't live in an acidic body.
Well, the pH of
I'm sorry, in an alkaline body.
the pH is different in the stomach. The pH is 1.5 to 3.5. It helps with digesting food. You want a slightly acid, whereas the urine is
Older,
5
you
to
don't get
7.
enough acid. So what do
Right.
you do, Andy? Because you really can't digest food.
Right. So my stomach is not very good at digestion. So that's why the pH, I have to take acid things to help me to acidify. That's why I like apple cider vinegar.
Or vinegar, you do.
Apple cider vinegar is really the best for me. It seems to really work. And so the pH is a little different according to the like the blood. The pH of the blood is 7.35 to 7.45. So you have the pH of the blood, you have the pH of the stomach, and the pH of the urine. Slightly different depending upon the organs that it works with.
Right. It's so confusing because if our body, is acidic, we could be sick, but you need acid to digest meat.
Right.
At over 40, the hydrochloric acid in your body, or the HCl, it's called, the vitamin, people get that gut bloating from eating meat because they're not so it's a real balance on how to figure out how to keep your blood pH level correct.
Right. The blood is one level, the different organs require different levels. Your stomach is the one that requires a more acidic because it has to break things down. But
Right,
everybody else, too acidic is very bad, just like too alkaline is very bad.
right, right. So what happens if the soil gets too alkaline? Will nothing grow or?
Well, see what happens is that you have different biology take over. So it's all about the soil biology. The microbes survive, the ones that we want, the microbes that we want for the health and the benefits of the plants. But then, if you go to the desert, you have a entirely different biology living there. Or if you go to a rainforest or wherever you go, the biology is very different, and they genetically are survive in that environment. So, and for us, we just have to understand more of the try to, like I said, alkaline clay soil happens to be very alkaline, and so that's always an issue here. You go to someplace else, the soil could be very acid, right? So you have to just learn what is best for our specific environment. I was in the podcast the other day, and we talked about, like, your house has about 20 different plants from 20 different environments, all growing in one same place. So they all have slightly different requirements. So and then we found out that the plants share each other, so they help each other to survive in a really weird environment. So one reason why when we spray wide range of microbes that encompass, because all these things like your palm trees, they're not native to here. They're growing in another country, and so they have evolved with that specific biology. Or your hibiscus or whatever else, other plants you have growing over there, they're in different environment with different biology. So we try to encompass the whole range by having a wide range of microbes that would take care of everybody's specific needs. Just like in your body, you have to do different things for the blood, different things for your different organs.
Right, right. And a probiotic on an empty stomach, what do you think about that? Is that help well, it helps the microbes.
Well, the reason why you take the probiotics would be to enhance the ability of food that you take. So if taking it on an empty stomach doesn't exactly help you digest the food if you wait a while and then eat something and your probiotics is going through it. So you want to take it before you eat so that it helps you digest your food. Not
Right.
everybody needs that. Not everybody needs that. As a matter of fact, a lot of people's biology are not functioning. That's why they're sick.
Yeah, another thing people or I've done and is when you have yogurt, it has to be, I think it has to be full fat yogurt, whole milk. It can't be non-fat, but it gets that liquid at the top. And that liquid is and I pour that in my smoothie. I just dump it off the top. I think that has like all the good microbes in it. I don't know. Maybe.
That's exactly right. So we have to just have to learn how to really take care of our bodies and take care of the soil. It's very similar. They're very specific needs that we have to pay attention to. And it really comes down to minerals. It's all about minerals, availability, how we can absorb minerals. A lot of people take minerals, right? And they digest different forms of mineral in their body. But if your body's not able to process the minerals, it's a waste.
Right. They say it's not what you ingest, it's what you absorb.
Exactly right. Same thing goes with the plants. So you can give them all your fertilizers you want to, but if it's not working, none of that's available. Top of that, chemical fertilizers destroy the biology. So that's why we're constantly trying to bring it's probiotic for the soil.
So when you have like a property like in California here in Malibu, you have one property that's just all gigantic pine trees, for like forest trees. Then you go to another property and it's all sycamore trees.
Right.
So sycamores, are they indigenous here?
No.
So none of those. So would you use your
No.
same formula for both those different properties?
Well, we do. I figured that out a long time ago. That's why I have a wide range. I don't go specific. I used to go specific. Okay, this micro for this, micro for
You
that.
have a bucket for that client and a bucket for that client, a
Yeah,
bucket.
and I do that initially when we first get started because they're slightly different. A client that's been with me 10 years, the biology is there. I don't have to worry about a client that's just starting, no biology. So I have to bring the tough guys in to try to get them to survive first, and then that encourages the rest of the biology to grow. So it's a little
Like the
different.
lady with all the cypress trees.
Right.
What did you do for those? How did you bring those back to life?
Again, there's two stages. One is to provide the biology to the soil, and that takes a while because things are dying. It's the structure of the soil is important. Like if you have you need to have condos for them to live in. If the condo is not there, the physical structure is not there, the biology won't survive. The other thing we do is we foliar feed. We intravenous. We do the intravenous feeding to them. Whenever foliar feeding means you spray on the leaves or the trunk, they absorb that nutrients whether they want to or not. And some of it gets through the process because their body is not able to process, just like in our bodies, if our organs can't process, the organs don't survive. But so the plants takes a while for them to say, oh, this is good, and maybe we could use that because they're used to getting it from their root systems. But sooner or later, the roots have to work.
Right. Um, yeah, well, she's very happy. I mean, they went from brown to green like that so fast. And the other thing I noticed, because I know while I was in the Amazon this summer, you did some ant treatments here. And a friend said she came over and saw you in conversation with the queen ant. So this
Well,
morning, when one of my twins was in the hot tub, typically if you splashed the perimeter, it would get black with ants because there was a colony right under the grass there. Well, this morning, Jasper soaked that area, and typically all the ants would come up. Nothing came up. So I don't know if you had them all relocate. Did you
look, there are different ways. Ants are not like us. They don't have an English language. So they have a language that you have to understand. There's always to get attention of any creature, you do several things. One is you endanger them, right? You get their attention. If I'm going to kill you, you pay attention to what is going on. Or if you do something different. So the only way I've learned because I asked permission when I talked to the queen. They said, no, go away. I said, okay, well, I'm going to get your attention. And so what I do is I've learned to spray natural things that will kill some of the ants. They go back to the colony. Your Majesty, this guy is killing our, and the queen said, well, we better talk to him. And so that gets their attention. See, the other way is food. When I start feeding the ants, they go back to the queen and say, hey, there's food here. And so I said, I'm the one who's giving you the food. You want more food? We need to talk. They say, well, you humans are really bad. You guys, we're not listening to you at all anymore. So they've had it with humans. But ants are very good creatures. They're a female-run organization. It really is. It's really cool. But you have to work with them. That's why one of the books I have is called Dances with Ants.
Yeah, that's a great title.
If you kill all the ants, what happens on your property?
What?
More ants will move in from next door. The other colonies say, hey, there's empty space, vacancy, and they move, you have to start over again.
Right.
So it's better to have ants on your property, they're on your side, because they'll keep other ants. Ants the soil, so it also comes down to the health of the soil, because the soil biology normally controls pests and diseases, including ants and other creatures in the soil, right? Because they have to be in the soil. So if the biology is working, the ants will stay at a certain minimum level. There won't be a problem, but you do need them.
Well, it's incredible because I know I've never used pest control, and we built this house on slab, so there's no crawl space underneath for them to kind of do their business. So if I flood my bathroom by mistake, by overfilling my bathtub, my walls go black. They're just black with ants. And same with the hot tub, it just gets black. And that did not happen. I just can't believe it, Andy, that you were able to
One of the things I've learned that's really cool is when I was doing ant treatments, I've learned to come up with these really cool sprays that said you would not believe. And the most amazing thing to spray is worm juice. You spray worm juice, you spray the biology on the ants and in their colonies and everything. The ants are going, wait a minute.
they don't like that.
No, they don't like that at all. See, and that's one of the best things to spray. So when we're spraying your place, yes, I went around and soaked all the way around the house with the worm juice and other biologies to encourage the biology of your soil to come back. But if you get them on the end, or if they get into their colonies, they can't fight off the natural bacteria that the biology provide.
Hmm.
See, so it sends a message to them.
Right. Well, that's why we have to talk to the one client that was using those harsh chemicals
Right,
to
right.
the ants and let her know that you can eradicate them that without using that, because and she was really not 100% herself. Uh, she was sick, and who God knows if it was from these chemicals.
Yes, yes, right. You notice how fast I got out of there? I was
Yeah,
not going to breathe that stuff.
right, right, because your good stuff can actually reactivate her chemicals, especially since he was spraying it right before we got there.
Right, right.
So I need to talk to her and let her know that this actually really worked, whatever you did.
And what's interesting too is that, see, the ants can become immune to the chemicals. They cannot become immune to the biology. How's that? See, they can develop an immunity to chemicals.
They can?
They can't. That's why the pest control companies are constantly reformulating their chemicals that they're spraying with, because they know ants have genetically hit me like DDT. Go ahead, spray me. I don't care, But they can't do that to the biology because it's taken them millions of years to evolve with the biology, and the biology has the control. They cannot, they cannot become immune to that.
Wow. Hey, I saw again, you know how I pulled weeds here to keep our neighborhood off pesticides
Yeah.
and wrecks because we have a national park or we have a state park here in our
Uh-huh.
neighborhood. So now I've received a notice on Nextdoor that every second Wednesday of the month, if we want to keep the chemicals off this park here, we all are pulling weeds every other Wednesday. And I
Okay.
did it one Wednesday already. I was wondering when we were going to do it again. So I would love it if you could be there, Andy.
Okay, I will. I will. Let me explain one more thing about weeds too. Weeds only grow in mineral deficient soil. That's the job of the weeds.
Right. Well, this park is a sandy point, so it's a lot of sand and
Right.
rock.
So the biology is a little different, see? And so the weeds will grow. One of the best thing I could do, we can go there with a spraying rig. If the city allows us, we can spray the biology there,
That's what I thought.
specific biology for the sand. Because then we also include in the trace minerals slowly but surely. Normally this every place has their own biology that governs the trace minerals availability. And when you have weeds, the weeds are telling you there's deficient. So you can actually send a weed off to a lab, and the weed will probably be rich in iron. Well, it's telling you that it's deficient in iron, because when
Right.
it dies, it puts the iron back.
Yeah, it's this one evasive weed there that takes over the those beautiful crazy yellow things that bloom.
Mustard,
No, not mustard. They're only
Carapia.
not
No,
Carapia.
no, it's Coreopsis.
That's right. And it's tall and then it
Yes,
so
right.
but these uh are invasive to that. But wouldn't that be great if you could be there with the
Yeah,
truck and we can offer a spray and oh my God, it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
such great. That would be
All we
awesome.
have to do is to tell the city that this is how you can control the weeds. It just takes a little while to start controlling them, but before you know it, the weeds won't come up anymore because the problem's solved. That's a long-term solution. Pulling them up is a short-term solution, but you got to pull them up on a regular basis all the time.
Yeah, that's why now it's going to be the second Wednesday, and that's a good day to because I know your schedule.
Right, and so the it's up to the city or the state, wherever governs it, to allow organics to be used on there because they don't want any chemicals sprayed in that environment. See, right? So
Right.
or are they spraying? Are you telling me they're actually spraying chemicals? Those guys are spraying chemicals over there. They were, and you stopped them. Is that what's going on?
But we did because they were saying our city's poison free, but this is a state park and we're a state park and we're not, we still do it this way. And we
Yeah,
all went, I just got
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Good for the
And,
state, I
hey,
guess, right?
calm down, ladies. Come and pull the weeds then if you don't want. And so we said, okay. and about 25 of us. I mean, I don't know, it seemed like it was a bit of a tea social. I filled up a gigantic hefty bag and they're just like, I mean, you got to pull them
So what
and
we have to do is
from the root.
we have to make arrangements with the state. Let's talk to you guys. Let's show you how you can do it. Because if you can do it here, you can do it everywhere else.
Right. Well, we have a connection with this with state parks and rec. A good friend of ours who's working on the George Lucas Museum down by the, what is that called? That park down there. Where the Science Museum is,
Yeah.
and here in Los Angeles. Anyway, George Lucas is doing a big thing and they're having big landscaping. And that's another, but if the Parks and Rec see us doing it here, then it's actually, Parks and Recs is a state organization.
Right.
I mean, it's a way to get to our friend and say, hey, look we've got him to agree to this. And I
Right,
mean,
right. And I think that's very important because we get the state on board. They can see the results and they're going to say, well, something's going on. We don't know what it is, but look at what's going on there. See, and I'm willing to donate the time and the materials to do it, and also, what do you say? We document it so they can see exactly everything that's being done. I mean, if you did nothing else but go out there and spray compost tea, you're going to be better off because you're going to get less and less weeds over time. So it's a simple process of introducing these people to that, because the state is, they're all over the place for all these parks and all this stuff, and they could do it, and it's not going to, of course, they're always hooked into money, right? It's money, and the chemical companies are giving them lots of money to do this, so that's another issue there, right? See, you know what I mean? And so, at least for that area right there, it would be no problem to incorporate more organics into that area there, and they're going to be. But as for pulling, yeah, I'll be happy to go and be a part of the weed pulling setup.
great. All right.
And
Thanks, Andy.
then we could just figure out a way to connect with the state. Say this is the goal, is to be totally natural, and you can do it, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time. Well, people can inquire and have service with you, Andy Lopez, by going to the inquiry page on invisiblegardener.com, GARDENER.com. You inquire, you can set up a house call, you can do it virtually. Andy will come to your property, assess everything, and you'll have an idea of how to keep your place super nice, like the properties you see behind us right now. This is
Cool.
a property Andy's been working at for decades, completely chemical free. He handles this twice a month and it's absolutely stunning. And she's on the sea, so she gets a lot of the salt, and you could see with Andy's services, it's actually kept everything gorgeous.
The reason this lady called me in the first place was she had massive whitefly, so much whitefly that you had to wear a mask, you couldn't breathe. You touch a plant. She was spending like $1,500 a month for years. The chemical company come and spray, and it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, there's actually a shield because there's whiteflies on both sides of the property, and they don't seem to come over at all.
Right.
You know.
And she's doesn't have to spend as much money.
No,
and
no,
she doesn't have to spend any money supporting the chemical companies because you're doing it.
Exactly right. And so it's a process of, but what we spray over there for the whiteflies is the biology.
Right.
So if you spray it on any of these pests, they cannot handle the biology. That's the best tool to spray on because when we go spray, I make a wide range of biology, the worm juice, whatever we have, and they get, that's what they get sprayed. And then maybe every once in a while, spray cold brewed coffee.
Right. The gardeners love that.
They love that, right? Coffee, cream, and sugar, because what is that, right? The organic coffee is rich in minerals. It's iron and all kinds of stuff. The cream is what? Calcium, very important. Your mother said, drink your milk, you need it for your bones. Well, it's the calcium in it. Also, milk has its own biology too. Milk has its own, it smells, if it goes bad, that's the biology of the milk. And then the sugar, I use Granny Smith molasses.
Right.
Which is also, in school, they teach you that plants use photosynthesis to make sugar. See, so that little mixture right there encourages the plants to absorb nutrients.
It's
At the
incredible.
same time, the biology controls the bugs.
Yeah, you should see this, everybody. Andy has organic cold pressed coffee in glass jars that are small. I don't know how much you spend on organic cold brew coffee, but it's a lot, and dumps them in the 100-gallon tank.
Right.
Everything organic. So the gardeners are like, I want to drink some.
It's another coffee. One of those things makes 40 cups. I get 10 of them.
Right.
And the trick is I've done it for so long. It's not any cold brew coffee. It has to be organic, of
I
course,
know.
because if you're getting the chemical one, you just concentrated pesticides and stuff like that. And then I try to get the vanilla coffee. Vanilla is toxic to most insects, most
Oh,
green.
so could we put a little vanilla extract in the machine if it wasn't vanilla coffee?
I have vanilla extract, exactly right.
That's expensive.
Organic vanilla extract. Right.
Right. So that's why the services end up, costing a bit because you use such incredible ingredients. I always loved the burnt bamboo vinegar from
Yeah. That
there.
stuff is $300 for that tiny little
I
unit
know,
there.
but
A
that,
friend of mine, we're going to have him on as a guest. His name's Michael. He actually has a device that you can make your own.
oh wow.
You know, it's a little unit that you can, because basically what the Chinese do is they realize that a long time ago when they had fires, especially when the bamboo forest would burn and they wouldn't burn down entirely, they put it out, it'd be sitting there smoldering. There's liquid come out because it flows through. They add some water, it flows through this stuff, and that's the bamboo vinegar. And the bamboo vinegar has its own, it's slightly acid, but it also has its own biology.
Right. So is that part, so is that biocharing to get,
Biochar is basically the carbon because remember we talk about all life is carbon based, so the biology attracts itself to the carbon and it breaks down the carbon into minerals and stuff that it needs. It needs the carbon, so it breaks it into carbon. It's a carbonic acid, so they use that to break down the minerals. So they need the carbon to make carbonic acid to break down the minerals. So that's different than the bamboo vinegar.
got it. Right. Got it. Yeah.
You know, it was illegal in the United States until recently. You couldn't buy bamboo vinegar. I had to have it shipped from some other country who shipped it to me.
Right. I know. And because it works,
It
it's
works, right?
of the stuff, this good stuff that works, that it makes it harder to get a hold of.
It's a weird thing because you would think that everybody will be into doing something that's simple that works rather than continuing selling these chemicals and buying this chemical. So the more people understand what's going on, you do not need to use these chemicals, pesticides, fungicide, herbicide. Those things are destroying the same biology that's in your body when you're taking junk. I mentioned to you not too long ago that the tobacco companies started buying other companies out. They said one day they said, we're very good at coming up with different flavors and different things. Why don't we just go in the flavor business? We're going to buy all these other companies out and then make that junk food even more flavorful so they can buy it. So now you're hooked on it because that tastes good. And that's awful. That's more, figure out more ways, and that's what chemical companies are trying to do all the time. How can we get you to use more of our pesticide or our chemicals?
Right. They make the Dorito effect, that great
Right,
article you sent me, it gets us hooked because of they know how to make us addicted. They create these tastes in the lab. And
right.
I'm sure they do that with the plants. The plants start looking like they're,
Yeah,
on steroids. You look at these roses that use Miracle Grow, and
right.
they're beautiful. They don't smell good, but
Did you
they are.
see?
So that's what people want. They want the instant taste good, the instant rose, but in the long run, it's going to make everyone sick.
Did you see that part where they said we talked to doctors about bodybuilders, and the bodybuilders don't live a long lifetime because they're injecting all kinds of chemicals and stuff, whether it be testosterone, whatever it is they're doing in their bodies under stress. They may look good, but they really are like going to have a hard time later on. And that's what
Yeah,
happens with chemical fertilizer. High nitrogen makes everything really, really fast. Oh, it's nice, but it's not.
right. I know. So it's really a brainwashing that needs to unravel. And I would love if everyone knew Vandana Shiva. I've got to mention her because she is my goddess. She is such an incredible voice and so smart and articulate and is an advocate of soil for so long, and people aren't aware of her.
And
So
they
it's glad
need to,
we're
and they
doing
need
this,
to be,
Andy. Yeah,
and they
I'm
need
so
to be.
glad we're doing this, Andy.
Maybe what we'll do is in the description, I'll put a link to her podcast.
I don't think she has one, but put a link to her something, Vandana Shiva. People can look her up because she's very, very powerful.
I
And
think she does have a podcast. I think she does have one. I'll find out. I've seen her on before a couple of places.
yeah, I've seen her in a lot. I mean, there's this Canadian man that's really great that she talks with.
Yeah.
I say Suzuki, but I don't think that's his.
No.
He's another incredible soil advocate. Okay, I'm getting dinged, Danny. I think we better.
Okay. Okay, so we're done for today, everybody. Thank you very much for being on watching our show today, and we're going to be here every week for you. Next week, we're doing the importance of microbes. We're going to be covering microbes a little bit more in detail for you, okay? So
And do we have a tip today, Andy?
the tip of today is really very cool, is that take a wide range of minerals. It's all about the minerals. So you want to be able to not only take the minerals, but you want to have your stomach able to absorb the minerals, right? So
Water.
and that's very important, right? If your stomach biology is working, then you absorb the minerals. So you want ideal way to take minerals, of course, is through the food. If you're eating organic food, so that's why you want to eat organic food, because they're almost always minerally rich.
Seaweed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care now. Bye.
Bye. Happy growing organically, of course.
Bye. Let me see if I can turn this up. Hi, thank you for watching us. Please like us, share, and subscribe. Any comments, leave it in the comments below. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye now. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to my show or watching it. See you next week. Remember, it's invisiblegardener.com. That's me, Invisible Gardener. Bye.